So next one is number 6. Hello there. I am a steroid user, 12 cycles so far. And I try always to PCT, yet I don't see me back again as, in parentheses, stable condition. It's always up and down in regards to prostate enlargement and shrinkage and testicle size. But there is a condition that is remaining the same. Breathing problems. Symptoms. Shortness of breath, tightness of chest, can't even play 30 seconds with kids without feeling that I should rest. All heart tests are okay, lung is okay, blood pressure is okay. No doctor is giving me a solid answer. Most say it's in my head and I need to take it easy. And this is funny. I relate this problem to the result of steroids use, but it's only my opinion. What should I do? Adwad Al-Hakan. This is another tough one again. I really do wish that I could, get in front of these patients and ask them more questions and get maybe some more studies underneath our belt so we can figure these things out, because there are a lot of unanswered questions. And one of them is, for example, how much weight did you put on while you were using steroids? Because people forget that going from, 180 to 210.
That's a good question.
Guys do that in cycles, particularly young guys. This gentleman didn't say how old he is, but 30 pounds of extra weight, and look at it as a percentage.
Takes time to get used to.
I know when I'm playing tennis, if I drop even 5 pounds or riding a bike, that makes a big difference in my heart rate, my breathing, obviously. So that's the first thing I'd ask is, have you taken that into account? Because that could be your answer right there. And then you talk about, shortness of breath, tightness of chest. You think of anxiety as one thing leading to another. He's got this condition, which is because he put on too much weight, and then he's getting worried about it because he starts to breathe too hard or harder than he thought he was supposed to breathe, and then he gets anxious, and that leads to tight chest and more shortness of breath. The good thing is, although it says all heart tests, I don't know what that means, but if he runs through the gamut, whether it's a perfusion test, with and without exercise, in other words, and not just a simple EKG, that would not be enough to satisfy, I would hope, most doctors. But if the perfusion test is okay, and for example, a CT angiogram showed there's no blockage in the heart, and an EKG shows there's no electrical issues either, okay. The lungs are okay. What does that mean? You don't have any lung disease, COPT, emphysema, bronchitis, which is not the lung, I realize, but it's too complicated to just look at this and go, oh, sure, here we go. Yeah. But assuming those things are okay, and blood pressure is okay too, he says, then I don't know what I would suggest. But I don't think that the problem is necessarily because of steroids per se, but indirectly related because it might help him put on a lot of weight. I would love to know the answer to this, and if Awad is listening, maybe we could do an update. I don't know how we could. Why not? We're getting all these questions. We'll do it and go into more detail. Yeah. Again, I can't give medical advice, but again, I can always give more possibilities. But these are a little bit too wide open that we could talk and I can ramble on and on here about what the possibilities are. But I don't think it's going to help people much to go off on that many tangents. But
yeah, I think the weight gain is a good.
It's just a guess.
It's a good guess. But I think people sometimes, a lot of time, if they do, steroid cycles, they're a little bit more paranoid. Something is off a little bit. You feel, oh my God, I've felt like that before. You feel like, oh my God, this is
not to give ourselves kudos here, but that's part of why we're doing this is because, I lived in that generation. I'm 57 now.
Yeah.
And you had all the propaganda that, like you masturbate, you're going to go blind. Oh my God, you take steroids and you're going to be impotent for the rest of your life, and it leads to heart attacks and all that stuff. that's kind of sad because then, I mean, I argue to this day, the more I learn, that stress is one of our biggest killers. So give somebody some misinformation, let them stress about it. Well, then, yeah, it could be self-fulfilling for that reason alone.
Yeah.
But we're trying to educate so that, people don't go through that unnecessary gnashing of teeth, right?
Yeah.
So if we can help there, I hope we can because,
Let us know how much weight you gained.
Please.
Rather. All right, Doc.
So this next one comes from Steve, and he asks, have you ever heard of patients with low testosterone and asthma/lupus-like symptoms improving while on TRT? No. And those are very different symptoms, or very different disease processes, but let's see what else he says. Thought it'd be interesting for those curious. Holy crap, does it help? I'm about 6 weeks into 100 milligrams per week of testosterone cypionate with 0.25 of anastrozole every other day, and my asthma, lifelong severe asthma, has improved by at least 80%. I'm blown away. Breathing normal for the first time probably ever. Free test has gone up to 10.5 picograms per milliliter, and serum is up to 545 nanograms per deciliter. Estradiol has dropped from 29 picograms per milliliter down to 6.7 picograms per milliliter. Sun sensitivity is improving too, not as dramatic as the asthma, but still much better. I feel better than I did in my 20s. Focus, mood, libido, all much improved. Kind of answered my own question. Thought I'd share. Also want to say thanks. The Ask the Doc series and the channel prompted me to look into my testosterone levels in the first place. Huge thanks. Well, that's an interesting one. And no, I have, as I said earlier, I've never heard of that before. Obviously, Steve suffers from both these. I can only guess here, and it would just be, a little bit more than dribble if I did, but, given that, I will comment that, first of all, it's interesting that we're going from what must have been really, really low to still relatively low levels of testosterone. In other words, I don't know when these labs were drawn, but assuming this was on day 7, if you will, if he's doing, they say, weekly injection of testosterone. If this is day 7, the low is about to inject again, and it's 545, as we talked about in one of the earlier questions.
Yeah.
This is below therapeutic per the numbers.
Yeah.
800 nanograms per deciliter. And I would also say, we didn't address free T, but that's pretty low in the free T department too. Again, by the numbers. And also, lastly, by the numbers, 100 milligrams per week is pretty light in my experience, doing this for a number of years. Starting replacement dose is usually about 200 milligrams per milliliter per week of testosterone cypionate. And so Steve is doing half this, but to get these kind of results is fantastic. We know that use of testosterone does what? It can help leverage the production of muscle mass if you're doing everything you're supposed to. If you're doing more than fog in a mirror, sitting on the couch, you should be, promoting some muscle, or at least helping it stay with you. Do we have an age here? Did Steve tell us how old he is? Anyway, certainly if you add to that, progressive resistance weight training, you might add to that. What's that going to do? What is that going to do? It's going to speed up your metabolism. What does speeding up your metabolism do? Again, synonymous, putting on muscle with speeding up your metabolism, right? Those are two, one and the same. Yeah. Well, it's going to improve your digestion in the sense that it's going to have to, your GI tract's going to have to kick it up a notch to support that muscle mass, right? Yeah. And there's a link between a bad digestive system, bad microbiome, and asthma. We know that, okay? The lupus, I'm not even going to try to rationalize how this is helping, except, you got to feel better. I know a couple of women who I can't mention, but who you probably even remember, because one of them is the ex-wife of a fairly famous bodybuilder, and she's amazing. You would never know that she has had lupus, but she keeps exercising, keeps her testosterone levels healthy, And it has helped her whole life, and I know others that do the same. The mechanism of action, again, I won't waste your time with any guesswork here, but it does make a little bit of sense with the asthma if you want to go the route I gave you. But hey, all I can say is, well, I can't think of a reason why dropping your estradiol from relatively healthy, still within normal limits, to really what I would consider below normal, below ideal. Assuming that's estradiol sensitive and therefore accurate, or precise enough to be accurate. So yeah, must have something to do with the tea. But all I can say is thanks for sharing and keep it up. And I would like to hear if it does continue to stay improved or get even better. And if it's appropriate, if he goes to a higher level and it makes things even better.
Yeah.
And I say not a higher level just to be higher and see if more is better, but because again, based upon the numbers and based upon what I already explained, maybe it would be even more therapeutic for treating his low testosterone, and as a side effect, it'd be cool to see if it affected his asthma and lupus even better.
Yeah, awesome.